The Rugrats was a series that not only ran for 9 seasons, spanning over 10 years, but it had 3 movies: the Rugrats Movie, Rugrats in Paris, and Rugrats Go Wild. Was the Rugrats movie the best? Here's my review. Before the Rugrats movie premiered, Nickelodeon aired the episode The Family Tree, where Stu and Dee Dee go off on a cruise to Mexico for their wedding anniversary. On the cruise, Dee Dee starts feeling sick. They think it's motion sickness, but it turns out that she is pregnant with Dil. And to see how the rest of the story plays out, viewers essentially had to switch to the big screen. One of the things that I loved the most about the Rugrats movie was the fact that they just got right into the story. I'm sure we've all been there before watching a movie, and the first 30 minutes were rather flat, but this movie gets right into it. The movie stars with a parody of the 1981 film Raiders of the Lost Ark. The babies are off in their imaginative world inside some sort of cave and are dressed for the adventure. Outfits I will never forget, as Nickelodeon released lots of toys surrounding the movie. The babies are attempting to reach something but end up being ran off by a big boulder. Once again, this was a clever segment because it echoed a big portion of the original. As the babies were often off in their imaginative worlds, in reality, the babies were trying to get an ice cream sundae out of the fridge, and Tommy's pregnant mom was the big boulder chasing them away. We then see the Pickles baby shower with an assortment of the Pickles family and friends. Another area where this movie wins is the adult jokes.
Well, you know what they say. Born under Venus, look for a... Hello? Now.
Usually, when a parent has to sit through a children's movie, the adult jokes are refreshing, and when the kids get older, it's cool to look back on what we may have missed. During the baby shower, Stu is trying to build a Reptar wagon for a contest from the Reptar Toy Corporation. The prize for the contest is $500, which I don't know, to me sounds a little low. But as you know, the wagon will be a big portion of this film. At the baby shower, we get one of the first songs of the film. I love this battle duet between Susie and Angelica.
Baby has a smiley face. A baby is from outside space. Angelica, Susie.
Dee Dee goes into labor at the baby shower and is rushed to the hospital. Once again, true to the series, no one is watching the babies, allowing them to get loose in the hospital. And we get another fun song series with Tommy looking for his baby sister.
World is something strange.
I'm cold. I need a change. This world is something new to me. Oh my.
An interesting fact is that if Dil was a girl, they would have named him Trixie after Stu's late mother, but since it was a boy, they named him Dylan after Dee Dee's cousin. Also, Lucy delivers Dil. Dil and Tommy have a heartwarming moment, and that lasts for a good second, and then things only get worse. Dil seems to cry non-stop, and it's interesting to see everyone's reaction to the baby. It's also funny that they still drop all the kids over at the Pickles. You would think maybe they would give them a break. I mean, Dee Dee was literally falling asleep at the kitchen sink. The film does kind of address this, and I guess Grandpa is the one that is supposed to be watching them, but that's still kind of tough on the Pickles.
Now, sweetheart, Daddy's got to put in a little overtime today so that Mommy won't be so ashamed of his quarterly earnings.
Before Grandpa and Stu are able to pack up the Reptar wagon, Phil and Lil get an idea to take Dil back to the hospital and get Tommy's money back. Angelica pushes the wagon out of anger, and just like that, a bunch of toddlers and a newborn are out the door. After a while, Angelica notices that Cynthia is missing, and so her and Spike also take off to look for her. Meanwhile, Stu and Grandpa diligently look for the kids.
Angelica?
When it gets out that the babies are missing, news reporters and the police are all over the Pickles' residence.
Tammy, Baby Dale, the twins, Bill and Jill, Little Chunky, and poor Amelia, all vanished without a trace.
And this is where we get into the more action-packed portion of the film. After several near-death experiences, the babies and Angelica end up in the woods. As expected, the babies have a pretty hard time in the woods, and they end up running into the circus monkeys who got loose earlier in the film. Another fun fact is that the monkey noises used in the film were actual monkeys.
When the filmmakers set out to create sounds for the family of monkeys, they found that you can't beat the real thing.
We're trying to get some typical noises that people think of as monkey noises. Chimpanzees will roughhouse with each other, and part of that roughhousing, right now he's grooming, part of that roughhousing is tickling.
The monkeys take Dil away, and there ends up being a divide between the babies and Tommy as he is trying to take care of Dil, but the rest of the babies are annoyed with Dil. It's a pretty dramatic ordeal. Tommy takes off to find his brother, while the other babies want to go to the wizard's house. Tommy gets his brother back from the monkeys, and I guess you can say he got a taste of what his parents were dealing with. Fun fact about Dil, he was voiced by Tara Strong, who was Tara Sharondoff at the time, and she was only 25 years old. She interviewed with Nickelodeon magazine in 1998 and stated that the producers were going to use recordings of a real baby crying for Dil. But once they heard her, they went with her because she sounded so realistic. Apparently, Tara's take on a crying baby was so realistic that it caused a new mother on set to start lactating. Then we get into one of the most famous scenes of the movie. Dil drinks all the bottle and hogs the blanket, causing Tommy to more or less snap. He was going to pour bananas all over Dil so the monkeys would get him. In the end, all the babies end up making up and running away from the circus monkeys, only to face off with a wolf. The babies reunite with their parents with the help of another one of Stu's inventions. Charlotte stuns us all, and there was a happy ending. There is a post-credit scene where Grandpa Lou finds himself rolling down the street in the Reptar wagon, and what do you know, we have what looks like one of Susie's brothers outside to see the start of what I'm sure would be an interesting story. This would be the only time we see another Carmichael since the beginning of the film. I do wonder what role Susie would have had if she was in the movie a bit more. Before we get into the review, let's talk about the fact that there was almost another Rugrats movie a few years ago. Back in 2018, there was talk of a live-action / CGI animated Rugrats movie. It was announced that we would see a revival as well as the movie. The movie was expected to be written by David A. Goodman and released by Paramount Pictures. Early 2019, its release date was pushed back from November 2020 to January 2021. It was stated that the series and film will see the fan-favorite original characters Tommy Pickles, Chucky Finster, Angelica Pickles, Susie Carmichael, and twins Phil and Lil DeVille, as well as the beloved dinosaur Reptar, return along with new characters. And then in November 2019, it was announced that Paramount had pulled the movie from its schedule, and the movie Rumble, which has also been delayed, was expected to air on the Rugrats' expected release date. There was no reason given for the movie being pulled from the schedule, and it's not clear if the movie is done for good or if it's just delayed. But a live-action and CGI animated Rugrats movie sounds so bizarre, I would love to see it. I personally love this movie, and call me crazy, but I consider it one of my favorite animated films. One thing I loved about the movie is that it checked off so many boxes. There was comedy, great music, action, adventure, emotions, friendship, and just the simplicity of the premise of the Rugrats, which is the babies making sense of the world around them. The difficulty that Tommy had adapting to his new brother was very real and raw. The rift between Tommy and Chucky, now that Tommy prioritized Dil, was realistic. The zany personalities of the parents was a nice touch, and the roller coaster of the babies being in the woods was exciting. Speaking of that, did the events of this movie ever come up later in the series? I know the babies wouldn't remember, but that would have been a pretty crazy story for the parents to reminisce on. I rarely rewatch movies, but the Rugrats movie is something that I can always come back to and thoroughly enjoy. The movie was a box office success, opening at number 1 and making $141 million at the box office against its $24 million budget. The last comment that I want to make on this movie is that I reviewed the Loud House movie on my channel, and one of the complaints I had about the movie was that for a film that was going to be a theatrical release, it just felt underwhelming, like it could have just been an episode. But what I thought was great about this movie is that it really worked well from transforming the Rugrats from the TV screen to the big screen. After the movie, Dil became a regular, which from making some of my Rugrats reboot videos, apparently many were not the biggest fan of Dil. Did you like Dil as a character? What were your thoughts on the Rugrats movie? Leave a comment down below and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.